was bellhopping at the Roosevelt Hotel, where old Huey P. and the boys were living so well. One day I said, "Excuse me, Governor, why don't you tip?" And he just smiled at me and he said, "That's politics. That's politics.
That's politics.
That's politics.
That's politics.
That's politics.
That's politics.
Ain't gonna be no dirty tricks. You know you wanna get your ticket fixed. Oh, that's politics."
Welcome to That's Politics. I'm Bernie Cyrus, your host, and it's great to see you again. In our last episode, we covered several subjects, and I'd like to say we actually were pretty right on with the predictions, if you will. More observations, I'd like to call it. We knew that Trump was going to win the election. We knew the Democrats had pretty much a meltdown in that election. And we also covered some other predictions, which we'll go on later in the show. We have some great guests today. We have the state treasurer from Louisiana, John Fleming. We also have a former prosecutor from New Orleans, Laura Rodrigue. She's actually one of the top candidates for Attorney General under the new Trump administration for the congressional district here, or the judicial district, I should say, in New Orleans. So without any further ado, let's go back to the giddy up and interview Jason Smith, the new sheriff of Washington Parish. Right now we're going to talk to Sheriff Jason Smith out of Washington Parish, the neighboring parish, and very interesting gentleman, quite the contrary, quite different than the average politician, I might say. Let's welcome Jason Smith. Hey, Jason.
Hey.
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm really good. You're a kind of an anomaly in politics. I mean, you didn't have a political background, and you're a businessman. What type of business are you in?
I moved, when I retired from the Marine Corps in 2016, I moved back and took over my family's farm. So we raised Black Angus cattle for meat and sheep for meat.
Now, you basically came in against an incumbent sheriff who was very powerful for a very long time, and you defeated him. How does it make you feel?
No, I feel good because I think I was able to recognize that there was an opportunity for change. I think people were ready for it. I think the results show that. It was just time.
Well, he was he went by country was his nickname, and he was very country, and we're in the country, so he had a lot of kind of kindred spirits out here. But over the years, he made enemies with the great district attorney, Warren Montgomery, the late Warren Montgomery, and they bickered and all. That bickering in politics, there's no need for that, is there?
No, I think that's one of the things that I recognize is that people are tired of politicians that spend a lot of their time arguing amongst themselves and trying to score political points. People want to see results. They're tired of being told that things are fine and they can look for themselves and see that they're clearly not. They want somebody to come in and make things happen.
You're going to make things happen, I'm sure of that. But that being said, you only pledged to do one term. Is that realistic?
No, I never pledged to do one term. I think that was a misinterpretation.
I said corrected.
No, it was something that I'm still learning this politics thing. So I was a little bit loose early in the campaign, and someone had asked me how many terms would I run for. And I made the comment that it shouldn't take more than one term to fix some of the leadership problems in the sheriff's office. That my experience in the Marine Corps was you only had 3 years to get things done. Yeah. And people interpreted that to mean that I was only going to do one term. But no, I'm willing to do, I want to set a culture, a professional culture, and that's going to take clearly more than one term.
But wouldn't you consider this pretty much a full-time job? Is somebody running the farm for you?
Yeah, this is a full-time job. Somebody is running the farm for me. This has been more than a full-time job. It's just, there's a lot of things to do.
Well, we expect big things from you, and the best of luck to you, and I hope to get you on the show again. Jason Smith, the new sheriff of Washington Parish, and possibly for future times too. Good seeing you. Welcome back to the show. I'd like to welcome back also Jeff Crouere, our special political correspondent. Hello, Jeff. Good to have you. And right to your right was our very special guest today, is State Treasurer John Fleming with 1M. I might have. Hello, sir. How you doing?
Hi, Bernie. Great to be with you today, and of course, my good friend Jeff.
Well, you're from North Louisiana, and
Yes.
we're down deep south. I'm a little familiar, as you know, with Minden and the area, but I wasn't familiar with the fact that you supported Mike Johnson, who took your place, and now he's Speaker of the House.
That's right. I think that was a good pick.
I think you did good.
I served four terms, 8 years, as congressman from the 4th District of Louisiana. That's mainly Shreveport all the way down to Ville Platte. And after those 8 years, I went on to the Trump administration to appointed positions, ending up as Deputy Chief of Staff in the White House with President Trump. But Mike Johnson and I have been friends for a year. I know him to be a very good religious man, very good temperament when it comes to politics. And so I asked him to run to succeed me, and he did, and he got elected. And now he is Speaker of the House.
So he really owes his position to you.
Well, I won't claim that on TV, but I do certainly, any credit I can get, I'm certainly happy to
Well,
take.
speaking of credits, you're also a physician,
Yes.
medical doctor.
Yes.
Tell us a little more about your background. You grew up in North Louisiana. Now, I didn't know you represented part of Ville Platte. Jeb Sellers is going to be on my show today. Our baseball coach was from Ville Platte.
okay.
His name was Vadrine. You're familiar with that name?
Oh, very, very.
All right. Well, tell us about your background.
Well, I grew up in a working class home, and my mother was disabled. My dad died just before I left for college, and I had a dream to be a doctor one day, and it looked like that dream was not going to come true. But the good Lord got behind me and helped me with part-time jobs and loans and scholarships, and I eventually made it through college and then applied to medical school. And the United States Navy helped me fund my medical school tenure, and there I went on to serve 6 years, Lieutenant Commander in the United States Navy, and I was very honored and privileged to have the opportunity to wear the uniform of the United States Navy.
I'm a Navy fan, but go Army. I went to the West Point graduation a couple of years ago. My nephew graduated.
Right.
Very proud of him.
Yes.
General Mealy was a guest speaker and
Yeah.
talked about diversity and all. It was
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Right.
Traitor. So where'd you go to college?
The University of Mississippi, Ole Miss.
Ole Miss.
Yes.
I like
Ole
Ole Miss. I have a place in Gulfport.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I like the Rebels.
Yeah.
I'm not woke.
Beautiful campus,
Yeah,
and I really
Oxford.
enjoyed the time. And I went to medical school in Jackson, Mississippi.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So had a great medical education and really a great career as a family physician. I'm board certified family physician. And but you know, along the way, Bernie, I became interested in entrepreneurship, and I started some companies back in the 1980s that still stand today in franchising and real estate. And so I've had one foot in business and commerce and entrepreneurship, and the other foot in healthcare and taking care of people one-on-one as a physician, and still practice from time to time.
Yeah, well, if you got a good bedside manner, you should go well with the voters, huh, Jeff?
Yeah. And, you know, Dr. Fleming, you've got such a great background and so unique for a politician because you've been in the medical field, you've been in business, you're an entrepreneur. What was it, I think our viewers would like to know, that sort of motivated you to try to run for Congress?
Well, you know, there is to me a great parallel between Congress or serving as a public servant and being a physician. Because as a physician, I care about the people. I care about my neighbors. I care about my family. I care about people around me.
Of course.
I have a fairly large family. I've been married for my wife and I 46 years.
Congratulations.
And thank you. And we're still going strong. We have 4 adult kids and 6 grandchildren. And so my life in servitude as servant leader as a physician, I saw an opportunity to do that in Congress so that I could run for Congress and not just serve people on a one-on-one basis, but maybe a whole population of Americans, especially in Louisiana.
Well, I understand you might be serving a bigger population. You're eyeing the seat against Bill Cassidy,
Yes.
U.S. Senator.
Yes.
And he's been quite a disappointment, Jeff, with the Conservatives, don't you think?
Well, the conservatives that I talked to, Bernie, are furious with Cassidy. He voted to convict Donald Trump. He voted to support a lot of the Biden agenda. So, Dr. Fleming, you've got plenty of material to campaign on.
Why do you think you would be better, Senator?
Well, you know, the best predictor of the future is past behavior. I served, in fact, I went into the House of Representatives up in Washington at the same time as Bill Cassidy. We both served at the same time, and my voting record has been consistently, by score from conservative organizations, averaging 90%. His much lower, he's supported a lot of different kind of, Pelosi and Biden type of legislation that I would never support. I'm one of the 9 founders of the House Freedom Caucus, which is working very actively, has worked with President Trump.
Yeah.
I'm a big supporter of President Trump.
Do you think you'll have his support?
Well, the way I look at it is this. I want to earn President Trump's support.
But you did work for him, and he did put you in the White House next to him.
He did, and I really loved working with him, and we got along very well. And I did a lot of things for him during the pandemic period. And but I think that I don't want to put him in a position to choose me just because of our relationship. I want to earn it, and so that's what I'm doing now.
Well, I'm going to wish you the best. I'm very impressed with you.
Thank you
very much. And I know
much.
Jeff's always been impressed with you. This is my first time meeting you,
Yes,
but I look for big things for you.
Great, thanks.
And
Frank.
we'll have you back on the show soon, I hope.
Fantastic.
All right.
Appreciate it.
That's John Fleming, future senator, maybe, from Louisiana, and a Trumper. That's not a bad thing. After all, he won by a huge margin, I should say. We'll be right back with more That's Politics.
All right, welcome back, everyone. In our last episode, we visited with a gentleman, Frank Diperi, who's a golf professional. And we talked about what Yorktown had done, illegally terminating a public-private partnership with a contracted company, RC Entertainment, that Frank works with. Well, we're here to update you on new developments in the case. And Frank, welcome back.
Pleased to meet you again.
So the whole thing resulted in a breach of contract lawsuit, correct?
Correct.
And this lawsuit, I think you have solid grounds because there was no compensation for the breach of the contract, right?
It was amazing how they had illegally evicted us. The discussion was exactly how they wanted to get rid of us, which we didn't have a problem, but they violated the 3P agreement, the public-private partnership.
And for people that didn't see the last episode, you were building a golf course.
We built a jewel of a golf course, and as a matter of fact, we took it further. People in the golf community, they see Tiger with the arena golf now, and we were going in that direction. So older people like us that can't walk 18 holes can still demonstrate our skills.
Right. So things were going well. You were dealing with all kind of delays. You were getting the job done. This thing was ripped from you, basically.
Yes, it was. As a matter of fact, not to interrupt you, we just learned that the FBI got involved, and there was 2 individuals that are now being prosecuted for what they did on that property.
So the lawsuit was filed, and the case was assigned to a judge, and now a court has intervened, disqualifying Judge Wood from the case because of ethical violations. Seems like he was getting some campaign contributions. Tell us about that.
Yes. If it goes further and further, I guess, as you uncover that, peel back the onion, the judge, and we didn't look to recuse him, the appellate court contacted Mr. Nussbaum and said that over what was allowed to be the amount for political contribution. Now, that puts it on the lawyer for Yorktown. He knows that.
And let's tell everybody who that is.
Okay, so that's Wilson Elser.
Okay.
And thank you for reminding me to say that. And what had happened was the law firm, they know what the threshold is. I think it was $2,500 if you're an individual, $3,500 if you're a corporation. They went way past.
So they made contributions that were illegal because it was an excess amount, okay? The court intervened. They've now taken the judge from the case. Is that correct?
Judge is gone. Actually, it's a bit of a gift, but we didn't get any great shakes with the new judge, who's even worse than the first judge. And we call it the wink, nod aspect. In fact, I'm sitting with, I didn't know, on the side in the courtroom with Wilson Elser, and they go up, our law firm and Wilson Elser for Yorktown. And the lawyer for Wilson Elser accidentally called the judge by his first name. I thought Larry was going to go for the judge. It was actually pretty funny.
And Larry Nussbaum, he's the owner of RC Entertainment?
He's great guy, philanthropic, tribute to Rocky, with the pancreatic cancer. Mm-hmm. And, us in the golf profession, we're not tour pros, we're club pros.
Right.
Rocky, coming from where he came from, it was a tribute to him.
So based on this disqualification of the judge, all prior decisions made by the judge could be in jeopardy, right?
Well, they call it do novo in legalese. That's supposed to wipe the slate clean, and we have a fresh start.
Yeah.
Apparently, it's being continued by the new judge, Judge Marks, who's decided to take more away from Wood's final decision. So it actually worked against us, thinking that we're going to have now a fresh start.
Right.
It's just a boondoggle. Truthfully, my feeling is, if we're in Westchester County, we're not going to get a fair shake. So, I would like to move it. I'd like to move the venue out of Westchester.
So is RC Entertainment going to make a motion to not only get your legal fees reimbursed, but to change venue?
Well, we've hired, Mr. Nussbaum has hired the best of the best specialist litigants. He's been really abused by the legal system, which is very frustrating for the little guy.
And that's sort of been a theme of this show, talking about corruption at all kind of different levels, including at the judicial level. And it's sad that we have so many people that are impacted by this. So,
and that's a testimony to the strength of this show.
Right.
Because you don't know where to go, especially if you're just a working, hardworking guy who doesn't maybe have your, acumen for law and et cetera.
Well, as we wrap up, tell our viewers, so the fight's going to continue, right?
We're not leaving a stone unturned. We've, Mr. Nussbaum's rights have been violated. I'm sure somewhere along the line, I would like to be able to, the civil rights, somewhere along the line, there's got to be something that this situation where judges, in fact, there was another judge in that same court that did something, and he was told not to interfere with a case he has nothing to do with.
Well, I'm glad you're going to keep the fight going, and we're going to keep updating everyone. Frank, thanks for being with us right here.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, thank you so much. More That's Politics coming right after this.
Welcome back to That's Politics, and our special guest today is Miss Laura Rodrigue, District Attorney Assistant for New Orleans, and a bunch of other titles. Jeff, you know Laura.
Oh, I've known Laura for a long time, and of course, her father, former Orleans Parish DA and Judge Leon Canizero. So, Laura, you were on my radio program promoting something really at the forefront of it, Amendment 1. It passed overwhelmingly in the state of Louisiana. It's going to provide more oversight of the judges. Why was that important?
So it was important to me because I have focused a lot on crime. I'm from New Orleans, born and raised there. And as he mentioned, I'm a former assistant DA in New Orleans. Now I represent law enforcement. And one of the things that was important for me to point out in this particular amendment was the lack of scrutiny on the judges when you compare it to the scrutiny that we have on law enforcement officers who wear body camera. Every single action that they take is scrutinized. But the interesting thing was they're coming across the exact same criminal individuals that a judge comes across in a courtroom. The difference is law enforcement has to act in a split second. They have to make a decision what's going to happen. Judges have ample opportunity to investigate somebody's background, to know if they have a propensity to commit crime, and if they're a danger to the community. Judges are, armed with that information, making bad decisions about bonds they're setting, which release dangerous people, sentences they're giving, which are lenient, probation for a third-time felon. All those sorts of things are leading to the crime problem that we have, but they're not scrutinized.
Can we go to the Judicial Commission? I know that's one of your interests. Why is it not transparent? Why is it a judge can hurt somebody really bad financially, emotionally, and everything else, get in trouble, get kicked off the bench, and that victim can't talk about it?
Well, I think one of the things that you're alluding to is not only can the victim not talk about it, or maybe they're in fear to talk about it, they can certainly come out and say, look, this didn't go well, or I disagree with this ruling, but there's really no remedy for them. So what we're talking about is a really strong immunity that judges have from a victim sort of saying, I'm going to sue you, or I'm going to take action against you, as opposed to the fact where law enforcement's immunity is very different. If a police officer does something that I think is wrong, I can sue him, right? It happens all the time. That immunity is very different for judges. They have a very, a hardy protection.
What about a judge, not in the jurisprudence of a court situation, but a judge who goes out of his way to hurt somebody else and try to fix a case or something like that and gets caught?
Well, I think if the judge gets caught, then that's where we would expect the Judiciary Commission to certainly take some very serious action there. The question is that happening? And are judges actually giving consistent rulings that show some pattern of corruption that's going totally undetected? Because in other words, if I'm a victim of that and I appear before that judge, well, I don't know that you've done that to 10 other people, right? There's not a community of us talking to each other. So unless we have a Judiciary Commission sort of reviewing a consistent pattern of actions, there's nothing
What
done.
if somebody filed a complaint against the judge because he felt that the judge, for personal reasons in other courts, was using influence to hurt the person, and ultimately got caught? Another judge turned him in, say. That's outside the realm of his own purview. He's using his power, if you will, to determine other judgeships. He gets caught, has to leave the bench eventually, and then the victim is never made whole.
Correct. I would agree that you would be correct. As of now, that's the way it stands for victims. The judge may be suspended. He might even be removed from the bench. But the victim, the only remedy or the sort of recourse he has is knowing that the judge has been removed. There is no other remedy for the victim as
That
it
should be
stands
fixed.
now. That should be fixed. But I would argue now that we're barely even getting to that first prong of the judges actually being under review. We need to make sure that there is much more of a review process. A judge being removed is very rare. I doubt anybody here could name 3 of them in the past few years that have been removed.
Well, and I would like to say also, they can leave and say, well, I'm retiring early.
Right, of course, they could step down.
It's a lie, you know.
But isn't this ultimately up to the voters? Don't the voters need to do a better job of analyzing the candidates and keeping these judges accountable
Amen.
as well
Correct.
as this additional oversight?
I think that's really where we hope this leads to. Because right now the public will say, I would be horrified if I knew that, but who's telling them? They have no idea that it's happening. If this amendment can lead to more oversight, then the public would be aware of that. This is public information. The public, and we hope guys like you guys will be monitoring what's happening with this new Judiciary Commission and informing the public, saying, let me just tell y'all what happened. This was brought up, this new panel.
It's not going to be secret?
Well, not all of it will be secret. Now, I will say this. The interesting part was they said now that there won't be discretion with this new commission in terms of beginning investigation. So in other words, like it used to be where you could say, oh, nobody say anything, we're not going to open an investigation, it's not necessary. Now we will see that.
But if they have a smoking gun and they get caught, and whether somebody turned them in, another judge or whatever, the investigation's open and it's adjudicated and it comes to resolution, and that just closes the case. He goes off to the mountain somewhere. That's the evil of it behind it. It's really, it's no other law, no other office has that kind of protection.
I agree.
And judges shouldn't.
I agree that they have the least amount of scrutiny of the 3 branches. I always say in crime, you have 3 parties. You have the police or law enforcement, you have the district attorney, and you have the judiciary. The one people know the least about is the judiciary. They have no idea what's happening there or who's responsible.
Well, thankfully, Jeff and Laura, I believe most judges are honest and good people. It's the bad eggs that do the damage. Laura, it's great having you today.
Thank you.
You're a very bright young lady, and I think you do great things for this community and keep up the good work.
Thank you so much.
We'll be back with more of That's Politics in a few minutes. Welcome back to That's Politics. I'm Bernie Cyrus, and we've had a great show today. We've had the good, the sheriff from Washington Parish, at least so far. And then we've had the bad. We brought back the Yorktown Shakedown story, which is unbelievable, but we had an update that we thought was very important. And we'll probably continue to follow that story in New York until we resolve it adequately like it should be. Jeff Crouere, this is Jeb Sellers you have next to you, huh?
Yeah, Jeb is a guy who's going to help us give some commentary on some of these issues that we've been following, Bernie.
Oh, well, might have a few issues of his own, I know him. Anyway.
Well, it's great to be here, as always, to see you, Bernie. I've been following your life for 60 years. I consider you a close friend, and Jeff, I've been following your career and
Thank you.
Appreciate your politics and your position, so it's great to be here.
Well, first of all, we have to start, because we're from New Orleans, and we're New Orleans, we have to talk about the terrorism on Bourbon Street last week. It's just hard to believe that happened in our city. But it's shocking and it's terrible. It's sad. Well, I mean, we hope that it never happens again, but I think it should never happen in the first place.
You know, Bernie, there was incompetence. There should have been more protection for those people. You had one police car blocking Bourbon Street on Canal. That's unacceptable. We had protection that they didn't even utilize. These archers that could have been on the sidewalk could have prevented the car from going down Bourbon Street. The bollards in the middle of the street, $40 million had been allocated for that. We don't know where the money went. We don't know why that wasn't working. It's incredible incompetence, and I hope the voters are going to remember this next time they go to the polls.
Well, Mayor Cantrell has been a totally disappointment. I mean, wouldn't you say, I mean, since...
Well, it's first and foremost, we have to blame the criminal who did it. His policies, his politics drove him to whatever he did to this. But
madness, if you will.
You know, I don't think the people in charge of New Orleans are going to change anytime soon. Same people are voting the wrong people in. We have to get to the where the stuff starts. And if we count on our politicians to save us, I think we're in big trouble.
Well, that's true. The thing about it is, nowadays, I mean, look, I used to hang at the Quarter. I used to box at Ursuline Convent, St. Mary's. And, you know, we were not in the best element, I guess you will, for young kids, but there was nothing crazy like going on like there was today. Juveniles today, they have no guidance. They have no conception of death. I don't know what the deal is. It's just a cultural thing.
Right.
It's not about black or white. It's culture.
Right. And this was a guy, as Jeb was saying, that we need to focus on, who was an Army, a veteran, someone who was serving our country, that got radicalized. And my beef is that nobody understood or followed him as he was getting radicalized. He went to Egypt. I mean, he was going online, obviously, to get training on how to put bombs out and to conduct this attack. Yet the FBI has been so focused on January 6th, they haven't been focused on the real problems.
We're not monitoring these people in the service anymore either. And we're letting things go by now that we never would have let go by before.
That's true.
We're scared to say something. We're scared to hurt somebody's feelings, so nobody wants to step up.
That's all the woke culture.
We don't see something, say something at the most important levels of that responsibility, which is politics. They should be responsible first and foremost for seeing something and saying something instead of hoping it proves without doing something.
Well said. And I think we could do a lot better than we're doing now, I would believe. And I want to thank you, Jeff, for coming today.
Well, I wanted to be in one of your early shows and show your support. I'm a big fan of yours, personally and politically. And Jeff has always been.
I'm a fan of Jeff's. He's been around a while on national television and local radio and so forth. It's been great having you both here today. And That's Politics. We'll be back with the good, the bad, and the funky next time. Until then, see you later, alligator.